Hello everybody, this is Manuel. Today into this P-Series tutorial, I would like to show you how to create HDR images in within Photos using an extension from the Nick collection, as well as the extension for Photos, that little app you can buy for cheap. If you want to learn how to make things work between the Nick collection and Photos, look at this video here. And if you already jump through the hoops, I'll show you what you need to do. So it sounds fairly easy, but it's mildly complicated, strangely, because Photo does not allow you to edit multi-photos or export multi-photos at the same time. So if I look at these three images, those are my three images I was shooting for the HDR photo. The whole idea behind the HDR photo is we choose different exposure. As you can tell here, the sky is very nice in this photo, but the building is not so great. And this one, the sky is not so nice, but the buildings are great. And that in between picture, well, the water is fine, but the things, once we mix all of these pictures together, then we have what we call a high dynamic range photo, so the HDR. So we'll have all of the details from the buildings as well as all the details in the sky. So that's what an HDR picture is. It's combining different exposure, different images together to get all of the ranges, so the high dynamic range. So I will be making video tutorials and an ebook probably about HDR in the next few months. So you can stay tuned, sign up to my channel on YouTube or my email list if you would like to have these tutorials in the future. So let's go back to our first problem that we're going to run into with Photos. So I cannot choose these three pictures and right click and say I want to use a certain software. It just doesn't work that way. I can share the photos if I want to on social medias or whatever, iCloud, but I cannot edit these three photos into one software. So here it is, a few things we're going to do here. So here, what we're going to do first is we're going to choose one of the three pictures. It doesn't really matter which one. All we want to do here at this point is go to the external editors of photos. So that's the $30 or $50 extension that we installed on our plugins with Photos. So now under the favorite, we're going to open the HDR Efex Pro. So HDR Efex Pro is from the free Google Nick collection, and basically it will work with either one photo or three photos or five photos or whatever photos you want to combine together. So you can ask me, why should we bother taking three photos when it works with only one photo? Well, the answer to this is, if you only use one photo to create an HDR-like feel to your photo, it will work. But in the area where you actually add a lot of darkness, so if you do remember in the middle exposure, the exposure I chose here, it was very dark in the building here, and the sky wasn't that great as the other photo. So in that case, what would happen is like there will be lots of noise and grain. So basically we took a dark place in the picture and added up a lot of light to it, if you will. Like we just took the shadow out of there and stuff. So it's not the best way to work. You can do it this way, but if you take the proper exposure, which is the bright one, and you won't have problem with their details. It will be beautiful. It will be crisper. It will be so much richer photo. So if you were to look at this on a super screen, 4K screen, it wouldn't look as good as a full-on HDR photo with the three photo, which is what we're going to try to do here. So now we are in HDR Efex Pro. What we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Open Images. And at this stage, it goes to this folder in Photos where I got these three images. If you're not too sure, you can go around and take a look where they are, but here they are. So we can choose these three images and press Open. So we're going to open the three. Now, what's going to happen is this specific HDR Efex Pro software will take these three images and realign them together, because I was shooting from a moving dock. The dock was moving with the water, so even though I was using a tripod, it wasn't like 100% okay. So see, we got a different screen here. Now we're working with the three photos on the top. So you see here is -2, 0, and 1.9. So what that means is this photo, there was a -2 stop. So it's my dark air exposure, 2-stop dark exposure. 0, this is the picture, which is the one the camera decided that was the right exposure, 0. And 1.9, it is 1.9 stop brighter than that middle exposure. So the camera always take one photo, and then in my specific Canon 7D, I have the choice to do a +2 or -2 bracket effect to it. So then this is what it is. It's a bracketing effect. So -2, 0, and +2. So now here in the main screen, I can move this little thing here, the slider, back and forth. So what I'm gonna do is trying to find an area where this sky doesn't look too fake and things doesn't look too bad. So I think that somewhere in there it's not too bad. It seems there's a nice sun in here, and then it kind of look good. A few things we can look on the right side. The alignment, you want that for sure, because again, I need the software to align the picture together, unless it won't be good. The ghost reductions, sometimes it's good. It's ghost reduction. Once you do HDR, you find like weird spots here and there, so you can tick this if you want, or leave it like this. And chromatic aberration, in the side of the building and stuff, sometimes you see some purple lines or different green lines and stuff like that. I always choose to correct the chromatic aberration myself. So now that we have the alignment and the chromatic aberration chosen, you can choose to do the ghost reduction and see what happened. I won't, but you create your HDR photo. So now what's happening is the software is deciding which part of the photo will be blended with which other part of the photo. So my -2 exposure, which one, the one with the dark sky, now will be blended with my middle one. So the sky will be merged. The two photo will be merged to create a beautiful sky, while the buildings, the software won't choose that exposure that I had for the sky because it was hiding the building. So this is the result we have, right? So it's not bad at all. So in the left here, you have the preset library. So those are like certain like presets. So you can choose from like, something super crazy, black and white, to a natural look, or, there's a lot of different options there. You can create your own as well if you feel like it. On the right side, this is where you choose the actual little tweaking you want to do. So let's first take a look at the color. So the saturation. So if you look at the color in your image, do you feel that the blue is a little too much perhaps? So if you bring the saturation down, you're kind of getting rid a bit of that too much color. Or if you feel it's not enough, then you can crank it up a little bit. But I find that blue is a little too much. So I'm going to bring the saturation down just a notch. The temperature, maybe it's too much blue there. Let's warm up the temperature, add a little bit of like orange, because it's a sunset, right? So we want like nice and orangey color to our photo. So color adjustment looks all right. I'm going to close this. Let's go to tonality. And then we can play with different more things here. The exposure, is it too bright, too dark? Well, let's have a look. We can brighten up maybe just a little bit. The shadows. Now, if you look in the buildings and stuff like that, this is mainly where the shadow will be affecting our image. So if I go all the way up, you can see the building looks super weird. Now all the way down it's going to be dark. So just kind of find like a middle, happy medium. I find like it was pretty good where it was. We'll leave it at 20%. The highlights, you get to look at this area of brightness where the water is. The highlights is where it's going to be affecting in this image. So you can tell now it looks super fake and stuff. So, you want to find somewhere you feel happy with your, I think like it's pretty good there. The contrast again is going to be either flat, or a little bit more contrast. So what I mean by flat is less difference between the dark and the bright in the image. If you go the other way around, it's darker and brighter in different parts. So I think the contrast is pretty good like it was. The black, again, it's going to play only with the black part of the image. It was actually very good there in the middle. white, same idea, structure. I like the structure. Now look at the details in the sky. If you bring that structure up a little bit, you can see more detail. It's becoming super crazy and stuff. But if you add too much, there's all the grain and noise and it looks a little weird. So, like just a little bit of structure for me works good to give it more natural look. Again, all depend what type of feel you want to give to your picture as well, right? So if I go to tone compression, that it does a little bit to you as well. So I find like it was pretty good where it was, and the method strength as well. You can kind of mess around with this if you want to. What I like here is the HDR method. So do you want the detail to be realistic, or do you want it to be detailed, grungy, accentuate? So I like that because it's easy to understand. The drama, do you want it to be super crazy? So, you can change a lot of things by these little HDR method. So let's say we're happy with this photo. This is a nice result. So what we're going to do here, you can't just press save like we do with the other. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to save the image as, and then untitle. I'm going to call that the new HDR. And by default, it is showing into your last folder where you had the HDR photos that you just imported it. If you don't have it there, I highly suggest that you go, let's say, where you store your photos and put it in there. But just for the sake of it, let's just put it on the desktop as new HDR. We're going to press save, and this is saving the image there. And we're going to make a test as well. We're going to press save and see what happened to our image where it's going to be saved. So it is now saving on our desktop. So whatever we are done with this, we create a new name as well. So you see what we're working on there is like the HDR photo 1 out of 3. So we're going to press save here. And by pressing save, what happened is the software will save this image into a certain place on your computer, which sometimes I find with this software, it's a little tricky what happened. With the other Google Nick collection, it's easy to follow the trace. Like you do press save and you see the change right away into the photo external editors, but the HDR Efex Pro, for unknown reason, does not do that. So we're back to this image. So we're going to press save changes, and that will bring us back to photos. And from photos, we're going to press done, and we're going to go to a project. And now you see the photo did not reintroduce anywhere in there. So this is the downside. You will need to reintroduce your photo by going to File and Import. So this is the second kind of things you're gonna do here. So if you were to if you saved it into that folder I told you that was the last one you used, you would be able to easily just click on this review for import. But because we didn't do that, and I'm not 100% sure where that photo got sent, like when we press save, so that's why I went straight to the desktop, because I knew from there I would be able to find the new HDR photo. And then you can move the photo wherever you put on your computer. You can choose where you know that you can find it afterwards. You press review for import, and then here it is. This is now our last import. So what you're going to do is you're going to press on this photo, and then you're going to press album. Sorry, my bad. You're going to press on this photo, and then you're going to press album here, the plus sign. They're going to ask you where you're going to put it. I'm going to put it in the P series. I'm going to press OK. And now if I go back to my album, here it is. That's our photo. So if you look at what we had the dark exposure, the normal exposure, and the bright exposure. So those are not too bad photos. They're not that great, but mixed together, we have something pretty awesome. And then once you've done that, if you feel like you need to edit some more, then you can go ahead and do whatever you got to do with this photo. So hopefully that will help you show you the way to actually use the Google Nick collection with photos. And it's not super intuitive. Again, you're gonna go to some hoops and like juggle things around and whatnot and go back and forth. So it is not ideal, but again, if you guys like photos, you like to all organize and all nice things are, then the Google Link collection, there's a lot of things you can do with it. You just need to learn how to use it. All right, so if you have any questions about it, just feel free to let me know, and then I'll try to answer your questions. And if there's any other tutorials you would like me to create, again, just feel free to let me know which ones. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye now.